guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I've got another Testing 10 roundup for you. If you're new here, hi, welcome. My name is Lauren. Thanks so much for coming and hanging out today. Basically, this series is where I pick 10 products over the course of a month. Most of these are new launches that have been sent to me. Some of these are things that I picked up with my own money, but it's basically stuff I've been testing out for the last month that I wanted to give you my thoughts on. So why don't we start out with some skincare. So leaders reached out to me in May asking if I wanted to try some products from their new What Happened Last Night collection, which is silly and adorable. So they sent over their brand new What Happened Last Night Refreshing Cleansing Oil and Glowing Facial Mist along with one of their sheet masks. Now, I have used Leader sheet masks for a very long time. They are some of my favorite. Their 7 Wonders Coconut Gel Masks are amazing. If you've never tried them before, highly recommend. But I hadn't ever tried any of their other skincare products. I don't know how many of them they've had. I think they're kind of expanding their skincare range beyond sheet masks. So I was really excited to give these a whirl. So let's start out by talking about the cleansing oil. This I actually really like a lot. However, I feel this is the kind of cleansing oil you need to double cleanse with, unless maybe you have extremely dry skin and or you don't mind having an oily residue left behind on your skin after you rinse it off. It does a great job of breaking down dirt and makeup because it is truly like an oil that you're rubbing all over your face. And it smells very citrusy. I do believe that it actually does have orange oil in the formulation, so it has a really refreshing citrus scent, which I really like. However, as I said before, after you rinse it off, it's not one of those oil cleansers that kind of just becomes milky and rinses away clean. It definitely leaves your skin with a little bit of an oily residue behind, which in a way, if your skin is very, very dry, after you pat it dry with a towel, it just feels very hydrated and soft. Like for me, having oily skin, I wouldn't even feel the need to go in with a moisturizer after using this if I didn't follow up with a second cleanser. I personally though, because I do have such oily skin and I just don't particularly like that residue feeling, I do normally go in with a regular cleanser after this just to remove any residue, really make sure all the makeup is off, and then I'll usually go in and tone my skin after I've washed it anyway. I'm one of those people that's kind of like a clean freak with my skin. I don't want it to feel stripped and tight and dry, but I do really want to try to make sure that every last bit of makeup is off. So I believe this retails in the $20 price range. You do get 200 milliliters or 6.76 fluid ounces, which is a pretty decent amount. Within the last month, and I've used this quite a few times, but I haven't used it necessarily every single day, I made a little bit of a dent in this. I could see if you were using this every day, you probably would go through it in a couple of months, especially if you wear a lot of heavier makeup. But I don't think that it's a bad deal. So if you are someone I think that either has, as I said, dry skin, or you wear a lot of heavier makeup that a regular cleanser may not do the greatest job of rinsing off, this may be something worth checking out because I thought it did work pretty well. As for the facial mist, this is nice. It's very refreshing. It has a very fine mister on it. Let me give you guys a spray. So it's got a quick burst, but it disperses really evenly. It doesn't have one of those supercharged nozzles where when you spray it on your face, you feel like you're taking a bath. It's very, very lightweight. It doesn't have too much of a smell, which is nice, so I think if you're sensitive to fragrance, this won't bother you too much. I think for me personally, I didn't really notice anything spectacular when using this product. I didn't really feel like it did anything amazing. I kind of feel a little bit like I'm spraying water on my face, and that's about the results that I get. So I probably would not go out and purchase this with my own money because to me it's a little bit of a superfluous product. Typically if I'm going to use a spray, I'm using something that's going to really lock and seal in my makeup because I have very oily skin. But I think just as, you know, a nice lightweight hydrating spray, I mean, it's good. I think honestly it comes down to, do you like facial sprays? Are they something that's a normal part of your routine? This one is nice, it's just not something that I personally found particularly special. So I feel like May was the month of drugstore makeup for me. I tried a lot of new drugstore products. There were definitely some that I really liked, others that I was kind of about. So let's get into them. First, I have a couple products here from Found, which is a makeup line that's carried at Walmart. I had been eyeing that display forever and I finally decided to pick a few things up. Now, if you watched my disappointing products video I did a few weeks ago, I talked about how the lip products from Found did not work out for me at all. I did end up returning those because there was no point in me wasting my money on something that I wasn't ever going to use again and that I didn't like. But I have been testing out the blush and the foundation for quite a bit, so let's talk about the Mattifying powder foundation first. So I have the shade Light in the foundation. I picked this up hoping it would be a dupe or similar to the Bare Minerals Bare Pro Powder Foundation, which is my current holy grail. And I would say they're not exactly the same, but this is a pretty nice, more affordable alternative to that product. It's not quite as silky smooth and soft as the Bare Minerals powder is, but it is fairly pigmented, which I do like, because if I'm going to use a powder foundation, I do want it to have some coverage to it, as opposed to if I was just looking for a setting or finishing powder. That's something I just want to finish my makeup with and I don't necessarily need it to add extra coverage. This would be the kind of product I would like put a primer on and maybe some concealer and then just use this on top in lieu of a regular liquid foundation. I feel like it did provide pretty decent coverage. I felt like on the skin it looked pretty smooth. It doesn't really enhance texture. I think in general the finish of this is pretty nice. I don't think it's as mattifying as the Bare Minerals one. I did tend to get shinier throughout the day more quickly with this than with the Bare Minerals one. So I think if you have more normal to combination skin, this actually may work out pretty well. Like, yes, it does have a matte finish, but I don't think it looks super overly drying. If you have very dry skin, it may not be the best fit for you. I'd be curious, anyone who has dry skin, if you've ever tried this product before, how it's worked out for you. But I could see maybe on very dry skin that it could enhance some texture or look a little dry because it is a matte finish product. I just found on me, even if with it like right after I applied it, it looked a little powdery, within half an hour of my natural oils kicking in, it had a very nice satiny, natural looking finish. So all in all, I think this retailed for around $12. I don't think that it's a bad product. Another downside is the shade range. So as I mentioned before, this is the shade Light, and I found it to be pretty comparable to the shade Golden Nude number 13 in the Bare Minerals foundation, which, if it gives you a hint of the numbering, if the number starts at 0 and I wear shade number 13 and that is light, it's not very light. Now, there were two lighter shades, I think, of this powder. I think they did have a Fair and a Porcelain, and then they also did have two darker shades, but the shade range is obviously not so great. They definitely did not have a deep enough shade for anyone that has a very deep complexion, and I think if you're very, very fair, I don't think even the lightest shade will be fair enough. So ultimately, that kind of sucks. I wish that they did offer more shades. I think that's generally something most people complain about now with foundations across the board for all brands of all price ranges, that we all need to be upping our game a little bit in inclusiveness. But if you can find a shade that matches and you have, like I'd say, oily to combination, maybe even normal skin, I think that this is a pretty nice, lightweight, easy to apply powder foundation for everyday wear. Then the other product, I like totally ruined the case here, so I'm sorry it looks crazy. This is the Found Baked Illuminating Blush. This, I think, is beautiful, and I believe it retails around $10 or so. So it's not too crazily overly priced. You get a lot of product. Since this is a baked formula, you're not going to get as much kickback with this, but it still feels very soft to the touch when you swirl your finger in the pan. This one for here is the shade Pink Glow, and I think it is really, really beautiful. It adds such a nice luminosity to this skin. It's what I'm wearing as my blush today. This is the kind of product, if you didn't want to wear a highlighter, you could just wear this and it will give you that kind of highlighted appearance on your cheeks with a single product, because it basically is like a blush and a highlighter kind of swirled together. It doesn't have any chunks of glitter in it. It's not metallic. It just gives your skin a really beautiful glow. I believe there are 3 shades of this product, and there may also be a bronzer in a similar format, so that's really cool. Now, I have never tried the Hourglass ambient lighting blushes or bronzers. I've only tried the ambient lighting powders, but from appearances alone, I get the feeling that this is a product that could easily be a dupe for that formula because it has a very similar appearance in the pan. It gives a very similar appearance on the skin. I know Ciate also did a similar kind of blush to this. Their Glow 2 Illuminating blushes have a similar kind of feel, but again, those are like $20-something. So I think if you're someone that has been eyeing those more expensive blushes and has been wanting to purchase them but hasn't wanted to spend the money, this would be a great option to reach for instead because it is quite affordable and there are some really beautiful shades. I think there was a deeper one that would look really nice on darker complexions. I think this pink glow shade would look just as beautiful on a fair skin as it would on a light to medium skin. I don't know how well it would show up on deeper skin, but I feel like it could at the very least add like a really pretty highlighted glow on deeper complexions or act as a blush topper if it wasn't saturated enough. So another big drugstore product that I tried out this month is the CoverGirl TruBlend Matte Made Foundation. I did a dedicated video on this product where I did a demo of applying it, and I also did a wear test, and I've worn this probably 4 or 5 times since filming that video. And so just a couple of little updates from that video if you did watch it. I found that when I apply this now more consistently with a kabuki brush, I haven't noticed as much of the like white speckles. I don't know if it was just like the distribution of them in the bottle, and now that I've kind of used a bit of this product, there are not as many of whatever those little white dots were. Maybe they were all like sunk to the bottom. Who the heck knows what. I also feel like the kabuki brush would blend them in better than applying it with a sponge. But in general, I feel like since filming that video, my opinion hasn't changed too much, but I've generally, I think, liked it a little bit more than I feel like I did on the first run. I've mixed it with a few different primers, one of which is something I'm gonna be testing out in June. I've only used it maybe twice now, and that I think is going to be an amazing product. Spoilers, we'll get there, we'll get there. So like when I used that primer with this foundation, I didn't get oily throughout the day at all, and I thought it looked really beautiful and it wore really well. So my kind of general suspicion or thought with this moving forward, I think if your skin is not overly oily, if you're relatively normal or you have like a little bit of oiliness in the T-zone and you want a foundation that has a matte finish that doesn't look too heavy or too flat and cakey, I think it's actually pretty good, especially at a drugstore price point. You're talking, you know, like 10, 11 bucks. I think that it's not bad. I think though if you are extremely oily, it will start to break this foundation down earlier and it won't wear as well. I think on the day that I originally tried this out, I was very oily and it definitely broke down a lot around my nose and my chin. I tend to get the most oily in my T-zone, but especially I have really large pores around my nose and in this area. So that's always the first place that foundation starts to look crazy on me. And that's kind of what happened with this, aside from having like the little white flecks all over my face. So I don't know, generally speaking, I'm gonna continue to wear this. I like it more now that I've worn it probably about 5 or 6 times total, but I don't think it's necessarily going to be for everyone. I'm not sure how well it would work on someone with very dry skin, but I think if you're someone in the more normal to like lightly combination range, it's got a really nice finish. I think that it would probably resist transfer and wear if you didn't have that constant oil breaking it down. Then I have a whole bunch of lip products here. Again, these are also very affordable. So Karity sent to me 8 of their new lip lock shades, and I also did a dedicated review on that product as well with lip swatches, so I will link that for you guys in the cards and in the description box if you want to check it out. These 3 shades are my favorite of the ones that they sent, which are Fade Out, Tamar, and Sugary Sweet. So in general, I'm not obsessed with this lip formula. It goes on very liquidy and then it dries down to a very powdery finish, which does feel not heavy on the lips necessarily, but it does feel dry. Like it doesn't suck all the life out of your lips per se, but if you don't like that powdery velvet-like feeling on your lips, you may not like the way these feel. If you're not eating or drinking anything, they're very transfer resistant. They last really well. They will not go anywhere. but I found as soon as I ate something, even the slightest bit greasy, it was over. The first day that I wore these, I wore a very, very dark shade, and I had some chicken, and I just had lipstick smeared all around the outside of my mouth. And I'm not like a crazy eater. I'm pretty civil, if I would say so myself. So I was just so shocked when I got up and looked in the mirror after I was done eating and was like, oh my god, I need to check my face right now. I wear liquid lipsticks with relative frequency, and I normally don't have that be so much of an issue for me. Normally, even if the liquid lipstick starts to wear away in the center of the lip, I don't notice it like bleeding so much or smearing around the outside of my mouth. And I think with this particular product, it is very pigmented. And so as it starts to break down, if you're wearing one of the darker shades, they kind of just can move and slip and slide around instead of just wearing off. It just kind of takes over your face and can look a little crazy. So in general, I find the nudes to be a little bit more forgiving in that respect, knowing that that's something that probably will happen with this lip product. So I've worn these. I like these particular colors. I like the way that they look. I think that they're pretty. But as far as like what's my favorite liquid lipstick formula, I don't think that these are like, you know, at the top of the list. They're $6, which is very affordable. So if you're someone that doesn't want to spend a lot of money on a liquid lipstick and wants maybe a couple options of having something in a very matte finish, I mean, maybe these would be worth giving a try. But if you're someone that loves liquid lipstick and wants like the best of the best, I wouldn't say that this is it. The other lip product that I've been trying out in the last month are the new Almay Goddess glosses. So I have 4 of the shades right here, and I actually surprisingly like these a lot. So Almay sent me 3 of them. I ended up picking up a 4th shade of this in my drugstore little shopping adventure I did last month because the formula actually was better than I thought it was going to be. If you guys watch my videos or have been watching them for a while, you know I'm not like the biggest person when it comes to like the glitter, metallic, whole iridescent lip thing. I do like shimmer. I love glitter. Like I definitely love glitter, but I like it kind of in very specific targeted areas, and I especially prefer it on my eyes over anywhere else on my face. So I was kind of like dubious as to how I would like these glosses, but I think they're actually quite pretty on the lips. They do add a sparkle, but it's not chunky glitter. It doesn't feel gritty on the lips. It just feels like a traditional gloss. Like it's got some thickness to it, but it's not incredibly sticky. Like MAC lip gloss to me is at the top of sticky. Like that is lip gloss. This is not quite at that level, but it definitely hangs around fairly well on the lips. It's not oily. It doesn't disappear after 2 seconds. And I felt that it's pretty hydrating. It didn't really dry my lips out. So I enjoyed it. I'm going to swatch a few shades for you guys just so you can see. So these have varying levels of, it's not really even pigment. Like they basically just have tiny little flecks of shimmer, and some are more like of a deeper shade. Like this one has very, very tiny sort of red and purple sparkles in it. So it has it looks more pigmented on the skin. It shows up with more color, but it's just more saturated with that like micro fine shimmer. So this is the color Flame. And then this one is the color Angelic. This one has more of a, I would say like a light blue to silver and like baby pink kind of sparkle in it. So that's Angelic. So this one, again, almost really looks clear on the skin, but when you actually have it in the light, you can see it will kind of shine off of those reflex, and you really get the blue and the purple, the pink and the silver in this one. And this is the one I picked up. This one's called Fairy. So this one has a little bit more of that pink and gold kind of tone than Angelic does. So I think this one has a little bit more pigment on the actual lips. So I really like that one a lot. And then this last one here is called Halo. So Halo is got more of that true opalescent, iridescent kind of glitter to it. This one pulls a lot more blue and purple than Angelic does, which still has a little bit more of that cool toned pink to it. So it might be hard to see. I'll try to insert a close-up for you guys in case you want to see up-close swatches of these of what they look like. But I think that in general, they're pretty. They look really nice when you layer them on top of other lip products. Like if you want more of a pigment, you might want to put a lipstick on first and then put these glosses on top, because as I said before, they're not really a pigmented gloss. It's really that they're just really packed with that microfine shimmer, and the shimmers are either, some have more of like a color to them so they show up more on your lips, but in general this is more to create that iridescent, opalescent kind of effect on the lips. So if you want the high shine, if you want that kind of duochrome finish on your lips, I think that these are pretty cool, and because they're drugstore, they're like 10 bucks. So considering that there are a lot of alternatives to these at much higher price points, if you wanted that effect and didn't want to spend a ton of money, these may be worth checking out. So speaking of glitter, I do have a few other glittery products that I was trying out this month that I am very much into. These I picked up with my own money. They are the Pixi Liquid Fairy Lights. So these are basically liquid glitter eye toppers, very similar to the Stila Glitter and Glow eyeshadows, but at a much more affordable price range. Now I will say, quality-wise, I do think that the Stila Glitter and Glow eyeshadows are better than these Pixi ones, in the sense of they're a little more packed with sparkle and they're a little bit less likely to flake and create glitter fallout underneath your eyes. Stila just did something magical with those eyeshadows. Like, they really stay put very, very well unless you're rubbing your eyes. Like, the glitter stays kind of where you put it, which I like. My biggest complaint with these was that I think that they do fall out on your face much, much more easily than the Stila ones. So if that's a real big problem for you, you may not like these, but if you want that really intense, beautiful glitter and don't want to have to mess with the actual loose glitter and a glitter glue, you may enjoy playing around with these. So there are 5 shades available of this product. I have 3 of them. I'll swatch them for you on my other hand. So this first one is Crystalline, which this one is really cool. It's like your, again, sort of iridescent, opalescent, white, purple, blue, like really fine, light colored glitter. This is kind of, if you want that true fairy, iridescent kind of vibe, this might be the one you want to reach for. Then you have Sunray. So Sunray is basically just gold and silver glitters. So it definitely leans a little bit more yellow gold, but it also has that silvery sparkle to it. So that is Sunray. And then the last one I have here is called Passion Light. So Passion Light is more of like a true bronze, but it also has, again, gold and some silvery glitter particles in it. This one has definitely got a more pigmented base than the other ones. So this one really has like a true like bronze cream eyeshadow with just the glitter running through it. The glitter is a little more sparse in this one than I feel like it is in the other ones. And I feel like the base on this one is not quite as opaque as I would like, in the sense of it's a little sheer and it can be a little bit patchy. So really with all of these, I wouldn't normally wear them on their own. I would do an eyeshadow first and then use this as a topper over it, because otherwise I think by themselves they're a little patchy and could look a little bit weird. But they're fun, and it's definitely a cool way to add glitter. These retail, I think, for $15 each, and the Stila ones are $24, so definitely saves you almost 10 bucks going the Pixi route, especially if that's the kind of product you're not going to wear very often. Like, if you know you're only going to wear glitter a few times a year, it may not be worth it to you to spend $24 on the Stila glitters. So this is just a nice kind of alternative to have fun, play with glitters. The shades are really cute, and it definitely is a more convenient format than trying to mess with loose glitters and a brush and all that jazz. So I did have one other Pixi product from the last month that I had been testing out that I wanted to share with you guys. This is the Black Lacquer Lash Primer. Now, I've tried pretty much at this point almost every single Pixi mascara except for the lower lash one, and I don't like any of them. None of them have worked for me. None of them really have done enough for my lashes. I've been very disappointed by them. But this has been amazing. I actually really like this product a lot. So it has a very fine rubber wand, and it kind of has like a little bit of a curve to the end of it. Very, very short bristles that are very close together. So it really gets the product coated on the lashes, and it also does a really great job of separating the lashes, which as a lash primer I really appreciate, because if I'm gonna go in with mascara on top of this, I want my lashes to already be very separated and not chunked together, because then I think with mascara on top it's gonna look super spidery and kind of gross. So this, I feel like it goes on, it distributes just the right amount of product that really makes my lashes look fuller, look thicker, look longer, and it keeps them nice and separated, so when I go in with mascara, my eyelashes are like falsies. Speaking of which, I also have been using the Butter London Double Decker Lashes Mascara this month. This was something I got sent in a BoxyCharm, and I actually already owned a tube that I think I got from Ulta as like some kind of reward or perk or gift with purchase or whatever, and I had never actually used it. So I was kind of thinking to myself, like, I should probably finally try this flippin' mascara, and it is amazing. I'm actually really enjoying this a lot. It reminds me a lot of the Too Faced Better Than Sex or the L'Oreal Lash Paradise. It has a very similar wand to that mascara. It has a natural it's a natural bristle brush with relatively short bristles, and it kind of has a, this one has less of the hourglass shape. It's less pronounced. It's just ever so slightly larger on the end than it is towards the center, but it really gives your lashes a ton of volume. And I've found that when I pair this mascara with this lash primer, my lashes look ridiculous. It is really, really nice. The one thing I will say about the Butter London mascara though, I find that it is very prone to smudging if you touch your eyes. Some mascaras hold up better than others. This one is a little sensitive. If you can keep your hands off, it lasts pretty well, but I find, like, especially with it being allergy season, sometimes you don't even think about it and you just rub your eyes without really even consciously being aware of it. And especially after wearing this for more than 8 hours, I find it will very easily flake or smudge off. I don't have like super bad raccoon eyes, but I would say, like, if I'm wearing this for the long haul, I know that by the end of the day, my eyes can look more crazy than they do with some other mascaras. And the final product for this month's Testing 10 is the Too Faced Natural Matte Palette. So this is something that was sent to me from Too Faced. It's the first PR product I've ever received from the brand, which is really very exciting. And honestly, this product is something I probably would not have purchased myself if it was not sent to me. Of everything from the new natural collection, I really wanted to try the face palette, and I think the second thing after the face palette would have been the natural eyes palette that I would have been interested in, and then probably this one last. But this is the one they sent me, and I'm not gonna look a gift horse in the mouth. This is basically a revamped version of a palette that Too Faced had already released in the past and was very, very popular. You basically have 3 coordinated rows. This one here, which is technically on the bottom when you're holding it right side up, is more warm toned. Then you kind of have a more cool toned row in the middle, and then a more neutral row on top. The lightest shades are bigger than the darker shades, which is nice because you tend to sometimes use more of the lighter shades than the darker ones anyway, so I kind of appreciate the layout. The packaging on this palette is absolutely ridiculously stunning. I mean, just the lace detailing, it's very, very hefty. It has this really cute little like heart clasp on it. It's got a magnetic closure. It's not a snap closure, but it feels really nice and secure. You get a nice size mirror in here. It's got this matte finish gold packaging on the inside. Really, really cute. You can see all the shade names are written on here. And the lace embossing on the actual pans is stunning. It also smells delicious. It has a, I think, like a vanilla coconut scent to it. It's not really chocolate or straight vanilla, but it's sweet. It smells like baked goods. It's really delicious. But you know, Too Faced, just, they always knock it out of the park with their packaging. I actually did a video back in May about products that I picked up because they were just too pretty to resist, and I gave a shout out to Too Faced because they're just always going above and beyond with making the most beautiful, aesthetically pleasing, delicious smelling makeup products. But you know, we know that's not everything. Appearances aren't everything. It can look great, smell great, be just so enticing, but if the actual product itself sucks, like, is it really even worth your money? So quality wise, I think these shadows are nice, but they're not the most mind-blowing matte shadows I've ever used in my life. Also, it's just a straight matte palette, so I could use this all by itself. I actually have been using this quite a bit all by itself with just like a black wing liner and lashes and like a really bold lip. This is a palette I have been trying to utilize quite a bit, especially to formulate my thoughts on it. but it's a little bit more limited, if you will, because there are no shimmery shades. So I feel like on the eyes, the shades don't look that significantly different. So you're going to create basically very similar looks with this palette if all you're using is it by itself. I think it can be a nice companion palette if you have a lot of shimmery liquid shadows or shimmery singles or glitters or things you want to play with. Like, this could be a really nice matte palette to reach for. That being said, I also really like the new Milani Most Loved Max palette, and that one's $20 and has more shades. So if I had to recommend between the two, I think I would recommend the Milani one over the Too Faced one, both in price and the fact that I think the quality of the shadows are both great and they serve kind of the same purpose. So to me, it's just, I would probably say that the Too Faced Natural Eyes palette, which is a mix of matte and shimmers, would probably be the thing I would go for over this one if I was going to pick one of the two. But if you're someone that really loves matte eyeshadows, you like these neutral brown colors, the actual formulation itself, you know, it's pigmented, especially these creamy light shades. I will say they are extremely pigmented. Like this shade Heaven here, it's a very light color, but it actually does show up pretty well on the skin. I don't know if you guys can see that. I've been generally impressed with how well the light shades show up on my skin. Sometimes light shades are super powdery, chalky, not very pigmented. The light shades in this palette are really quite beautiful. It's just overall, it's not something that is revolutionary. It's standard neutral mattes. They blend out all right. They last pretty well, but there are a lot of other palettes that have these shades already in them. And there are other things from the drugstore now that are great, that are all matte, that if you just needed those transitions in your collection, you're kind of better off probably going the more affordable route. So those are my 10 products that I was testing out in the month of May. I did want to give you guys a quick little sneak peek at some of the things that I'm going to be testing out in June, because I've got some really exciting stuff. So the first thing, this is what I was talking about before when I was discussing the CoverGirl foundation. I finally picked up the Ren Perfect Canvas Silicone-Free Skin Finishing Serum, and I've used this a couple of times, and it's kind of ridiculously amazing. I'm very, very excited to be using this throughout the next month and to really formulate some serious opinions about it. Shout out to my friend Stephanie, because she's entirely responsible for me trying this. She has said nothing but good things about it, and I've been very curious for a long time. So in that same Sephora order that I picked up the Ren Serum, I also got the Tatcha blotting papers. Very, very excited to try these. They're kind of expensive, but they're also massive. Like, one sheet is the size of this container basically, so it's twice the size of a regular blotting paper. You get 30 of them. It was like $12, so I'm kind of really curious to see if these are actually worth the price. I also grabbed this new product from Tarte. This is their Tarte Guard SPF 30 Mineral Powder Sunscreen. So basically this is exactly as it would suggest. It's a sunscreen powder, and it has a little brush attachment, so you basically just pump the powder and it comes out through the bristles and you just dust it onto your face. I thought this would be perfect to bring with me to Firefly, which I'm going to in a couple of weeks, as a way to touch up my sunscreen throughout the day. Because we all know if you're wearing makeup, you apply sunscreen in the morning, the only way to reapply a liquid sunscreen is to take it all off and reapply it all again. And I know while I'm at the festival, like, that's just not gonna happen. So I can reapply on my body, but on my face, I'm gonna need something to touch up my SPF throughout the day. And I think this will be great because it'll not only give me a little bit more sun protection, but it'll also help me to control the oil and the shine when I'm sitting out in the sun all day. So that is everything for today's video. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with me today. I hope all of these little reviews were helpful for you. If you enjoyed this series, give this video a thumbs up. I really appreciate your feedback. And again, if you're not subscribed to my channel and you want to see more of my videos in the future, make sure you click that button before you go. I hope you guys are all having an amazing, amazing week, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.